Good evening, everybody. Boy, what a night. What a night. It's never dull around here at CAF HQ. So welcome to the 40th CAF update. And once again, every time I do one show further down the road, I feel impressed by the fact that we've been doing these since, I think this show since mid-July, mid or late June or something. But last night was pretty crazy. As everybody knew, we set another record on the Dueling Dealers, $66,000+ in sales. It's crazy how well it's gone off. Anthony literally told me today that he did sell his 19th piece after the show, which we're still not going to credit for it on his scores because we only count stuff that sells during the show. But so Anthony was a sellout. That's the first time I think either of those guys have done that on the show. Only Dino had done that before on the amateur show. So very, very impressive evening last night, and it just makes the guys want to try really harder for next week. So yes, good evening, Mikhail and Dino, Mel, and Harry. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate seeing all you guys being in the chat. Alfredo and Jason, all my regulars are here. I gotta pull up that bot program again and see who's in the lead at this point. I have to dig that link out. I haven't looked at it in a while, but so a couple things before we get started. I just want to make sure everybody is very well aware that we have we're going to have a special Dueling Dealers on Saturday, May 1st, and that'll be at 1 p.m. Eastern time. I've got a lot of people from Europe that have been asking to, they want to be involved in the show, but they can't. And so they want their crack at the artwork that everybody that Mike and Anthony have been offering. And we're going to give it a try, see how it goes. If it goes well, it might become some kind of a once a month event. I mean, right now, we can pretty much guarantee that we're not going to have cons for a long time. So creating a weekend buying opportunity that might not all be Dueling Dealers. Maybe we mix in a few just art drops with some other people at the same time. I think could make for an interesting afternoon on the weekend. We'll see. Okay, Tim, I see you there as well. And Ankur, Indu, yes, I see that. Jordan, man, Tatiana, everybody is here this evening. Fred. Where's the Billbot? Billbot will show up at some point this evening. So there was that event on the 1st, and the Saturday before that, I'm doing essentially a short interview and a art sale for Gerhard. Chuck Costas approached me and said, hey, we'd like to. We've been doing these sales on CAF about once a year, and it just typically happens through his CAF Gallery. They just release the art and they sell out. And he said, they like to experiment, try something different. So next Saturday, the 24th at 11 a.m., we are going to be doing probably like a 20-minute interview with Gerhard, and then we'll just be showing art, a lot like a claim sale. I haven't quite worked out how he wants to do this, because what Chuck is going to do is he's going to turn each piece on as we talk about it. I really think he's expecting just to and he wants people to contact him through CAF, or I know their email address is going to be on the screen. He wants an email, and then basically the order of the emails as they come in will dictate who gets first dibs at the artwork that we're going to be showing. And I believe there's going to be, I think 35 pieces of art, all never on the market before, all coming out of Gerhard's personal stash of artwork. So that should be interesting, because I've never really done something like that before. So I'll work out the logistics with Chuck to make sure he doesn't want people claiming it in the chat. I feel that's the case. He really wants everything documented. And so you guys are just going to have to multi-screen it, whether it's got his CAF Gallery open or you've got your email program open and you're ready to shoot Chuck an email. So we'll know more about that as we get closer to that event. So just keep those next 2 Saturdays in mind. So let's, I've got my guest in the green room, so I don't want to keep him waiting. So why don't we go through the stats and things for the last week? This is, of course, for the period of April 5th through the 11th. Now, dealers had a very solid week, as they have been all year. They sold over $430,000 in artwork, and that's compared to $374 from the prior week. Romita Man was tops this week, 45 sales. $141,000. Albert second, 34 sales, $126,000. Felix was next with 97 sales and just under 70. And Anthony next, 75 sales, $35,000. And panelpageart.com with 10 sales and just over $30,000. So busy week for all of those guys. Here are the top sales from dealers for last week. First up is a piece sold by Romita Man, Bernie Wrightson. This is House of Secrets number 93 cover, and this sold for the asking price of $40,000. That's a beauty. And next up is a Marvel Premiere number 17 cover. Iron Fist, of course. This is by Gil Kane, sold by Albert Moy for the asking price of $30,000. Next up is another sale by Mr. Berkey. This is from Conan the Barbarian number 11. This is the page 15 splash by Barry Windsor Smith and Sal Buscema, sold for $28,500. Next up is a panel page art sale. This is by Gene Colan. It is the cover to Detective Comics 510, sold for the asking price of $15,000. Next up is a piece that you're going to think Iron Man is swinging on a spider web in the last panel. This was Tales of Suspense 42, page 3, Don Heck, sold by Romita Man for $11,000. And finally is this artwork by John Buscema. This is Superman and Spider-Man, of course, page 60. This was sold by Albert for the asking price of $10,000. So there you go. All good pieces of artwork in that lot, and actually all the artworks that looks like a Perky meme. Yeah, exactly. Very good, Dino. Sorry, just trying to read through the chats and get through my dialogue here. All right, so next up, auction houses. Auction houses. You could say it's a letdown when you go from $6.3 million one week to $352,000 for the last period. But at the end of the day, 352 is a very average, a little bit higher than average week for eBay and Heritage. So at the end of the day, that was actually a pretty decent week. I'll go through the top 6 sales, 3 from eBay and 3 from Heritage. First up, this was Robert Crum. It's an unpublished book plate, and this was from 1972. I wrote down it's $17,500. Actually, it was bought with a make offer, and I don't know what the make offer was. So expect it to be around between 14 and 16, I imagine. Next up, this was sold on a make offer as well. This is Hellboy's 7 Wives Club cover by Mike Mignola. The original price was $15,000, and so who knows what the offer accepted was on that one. And finally, this one had a lot of action last week on eBay. It's by Chris Piccolo. This sold for $14,700. And over to Heritage, there are 3 pieces. First up is this Marshall Rogers, Dick Giordano, Detective Comics 478 page. It sold for $9,600. It's a really cool page. I love that center panel. It's like having an extra panel of art. Then there is this Dave Sim Cerebus number 5 page from 1978. This sold for $6,300. And finally, we all know this one, Art Adams, Wills Portacio. And this is from Long Shot number 2, sold for $5,760 on Heritage last week. So Heritage made up $147,000 of those sales, and eBay made up $205,000 of the sales for last week. So, again, actually it's an uptick for Heritage is usually around 120, and eBay is always around 160 to 180. So they both actually did pretty good, which is weird because I had a down week in helping them drive sales through CAF. So with usually there's a post-holiday dip in sales thanks to Easter and whatnot, but not that. So anyway, let's get on to the popular artwork, my picks as well. And I can tell you these are all stellar pieces, and it was kind of ridiculous because I probably could have picked another 28. I know I say that a lot, but this week in particular, there was so much great artwork added to CAF that it wasn't very easy for me to pick the pieces that I did. But be that as it may, I had to make some decisions, and I even picked a Frank Miller Dark Knight page. And I said the other day that I don't like his art from that book, but I really, really appreciate the storytelling. So on to the popular artwork. We got 14 pieces in this set. First up is by George Perez, of course. This is Avengers Volume 3. This is the number 2 cover. This is in the collection of Bill J. Next up is a piece in Dino's collection. This is the cover to Fantastic Four 219 from 1980. Bill Sienkiewicz and Joe Sinnott. Love that one. Now the next one, this is an odd pair, Rob Liefeld and Scott Williams. This is from What If issue number 7. This is in the collection of JN80. And we've got something from Eric DLS's collection here. This is Thundercats Number One by Art Adams. Eric continues to pull nice artworks out of the ether, and that is a nice one. Then this is the Alan Davis and Paul Neary piece. This is Excalibur. It's a special final page. It features all the teams. This is in the collection of Brian Lake. I think this was shaken loose from Gary. He's been selling a few pieces, I believe, from that title of late. Next up is Dark Knight Returns. This is in the collection of Yo Curry, and of course, it's Frank Miller. Nobody can do lettering and that sort of thing to get the story across like him. And here's another piece, Khalil Giron, Eric Canetti, Dr. Doom. Love that one. Nice commission there. This is Jim Lee and Art T-Bear. This is from X-Men number 7. It's page 19, the collection of Michael Wygant. Love that last one. Here's a Mike Zeck Punisher number 1. This is or it says cover art or an unpublished portfolio plate, so I'm not really sure which. This is in the collection of Matt E. And Mikhail, you have made it into the featured art tonight. This is from Amazing Spider-Man, number 30, page 20. Steve Ditko, all on this piece of artwork. Love it. Next up is this Godzilla Splash, Art Adams again. This is in the collection of Jim Reed. Congratulations, Jim. I like monster art. That's a good one. And a Jack Kirby Thor 175 page in the collection of Paul Roach. What makes this art even better is it was inked by Bill Everett. Very nice. This is in the collection of Kareem El Rafe. This is from Captain America 251, page 5. John Byrne and Joe Rubenstein. Loved John's run on that book. And finally, in the collection of Sylvain R., this is by John Buscema and Al Williamson. This is Wolverine Volume 2, issue number 3, page 30. From 1989. Quite a beauty. So I hope you enjoyed all of those as much as I did. Oh man, that is a lot of Marvel bias, isn't it? Darn it. I'll have to correct that for next week. I'm going to make a note of that right now. Darn it. Yeah, you're right. You know, I'll tell you, Ruben, there was a piece of yours that was right on the cusp of going in there, and I know you know which one that was. So I'm noting Marvel bias and putting a big X through that, so I fixed that next week. So you know the Marvel stuff floats to the top. We all know that. So you know, what am I going to do? That's a good. I'm just reading Mikhail's comment about I'm very fortunate. Told Burke I don't care about villains, but I want Spidey and I want Peter, and it's perfect. And I completely agree. I saw that page before he shipped it, and you know it's fantastic. So congratulations to Mikhail and everybody else who had artwork in my top picks for this week. So without further ado, I'm going to bring my guest in for the Marvel Rules. Yes, Mr. Easy-Go-Lucky. I completely agree, but I need to broaden my perspective on artwork a little bit more. That's the personal choice thing. Maybe I should have Colin come in and step in and do some of my picks some weeks for me, because he definitely spreads his love around when he's picking the featured artworks every day, probably far better than I could do. So yes, Anchor, here's Johnny. Hey Johnny. Hey Johnny, what's going on?
Bill, I'm ready. Let's do this.
What?
I don't even need the coin toss. I'm ready to go. Just let's do this. Are we ready? Maureen, are you ready? All right. My round one piece is
Johnny
Superman page. We're asking $750. You know, it's got Kurt Swan, Vince Collette inks. You know, if
you're PC art you got there, but you know, it's not Wednesday night. It's not Dueling Dealers. Did you know that?
Oh, did Snyder not show up?
No, that was last night. Snyder did show up for that. He didn't bring his A game, but he did show up.
He always brings his A game. I always tell Anthony that after you know, at the end of the night, I mean, he gets cake, and you know, it's all good.
He is a winner.
He always wins.
Oh no,
exactly.
we had a really nice. We talked for like an hour after last night's show. He was very happy. He recently got his second shot, so like the last couple of weeks, he's been like a little off during the show. But so I'm expecting him to be like really on next week because he's very jealous of all the memes that I filmed with Mike.
Oh, gotcha. Well, that's because you live so close.
It's true. It
helps out. But I mean, you could drive to New Jersey to help him out. Throw him a couple memes.
He's supposedly going to be delivering something to Berkey over the summer, and so whenever that happens, we're going to try to work out getting 2 green screens together over at Berkey's house and doing some group shots, so I don't have to keep merging everything in the video editing stuff that I'm doing.
Gotcha. Well, can I just say, all joking aside, that you do a great job. You're doing a great thing for our hobby, obviously, and in some ways, I kind of blame you for the prices going up because you're making you're just connecting us all, and it's it's a good thing. It's a good thing what you're doing, and we really appreciate you. I've seen every episode that you've done. I always watch them afterwards because I usually have to put the kid to bed and whatnot. 7 o'clock where I am, so it's kind of prime bedtime. But I always check in, and I've literally watched every show you've done. I just appreciate it. So,
well, I can't. We're having a lot of fun with it. I'm having a lot of fun with all the shows, whether it's the interview shows or it's doing that show. I mean, I'm so happy it came together like it did, and at the end of the day, I mean, I know it's taking more money from collectors, it's put more art out in the hobby, but at the same time, at least those guys are willing to deal and move on their prices a bit. I don't know. It's just a fun show at the end of the day, and I'm glad that I'm overjoyed with the fact that it's been so well received, and that I've got other people that want to get on the show, and I think we've got another collector show booked for May, I think the 10th. So, we're just going to keep mixing it up and trying to find ways to keep people entertained and get more art out there. And I do hope to work with other dealers. I've definitely spoken to a few reps and some other dealers as well. I mean, I'm not going to say any names until I get things all ironed out, but we don't want it to be all Mike and Anthony as much as they definitely would like it to be all Mike and Anthony.
Well, Dino and Jordan, that was a great show.
Oh, it was.
That was fantastic. Yeah. It's great pieces on there, and they did great, both of them. So, yeah, it was great to watch. Something different, too. But, I mean, I'm watching Anthony and Berkey go at it. It's pretty fun, too.
It is. It is. I always like Anthony, the look on his face when a meme is done playing. That Hulk hand one. Oh, my gosh. We did. I usually show them the memes when we're in the green room before the show, just so they can get a feel for what I'm going to do. And only Mike, of course, Mike knew about it, but we held that one back from Anthony. So I was looking right at him when he came back, and he wasn't scowling, but he wasn't smiling either. So
I love it. That's so funny. It's fun. It's just funny to watch his reaction. So it's all good. And also, just so you know, not to embarrass you, I was looking on Facebook. Your birthday's coming up.
It is on Sunday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you. 53. It was, and you know what? I did a really huge disservice to Maureen last night, because last night was Maureen, my wife, it was her birthday, and we had talked about it a bunch in the green room leading up to it, because she was mic'd in, because she does all the production. And then when the show happened, I totally blew it and didn't mention it, didn't try to get her at least on the mic during the cake break, which was I had written it down, and I totally botched it. So yeah the real brains behind CAF just
didn't get well. Okay, good. But as I was sitting in the green room, a lot of people don't know this, but you have your former guests are all chained up in there in little dungeons. They don't know that. So
that is very, very true.
Emotionally chained up.
Yes. So. Yes. And I will relay that to Maureen Rubin. Thank you. And I'll let her know. She knows she's appreciated, but she definitely, I asked her if she'd be on camera, and she said no. So I was like, all right, that kind of made it. So I thought, well, all right, do I put her on the spot? And then I forgot. So, but no, those shows are fun, and the collector show was fun, and I look forward to doing them. I thought when we did the Jordan and Dino show that it was going to be very difficult for me to do the same show with two other people, and it was really like riding a bike, and those guys were really into it. They made their own memes, and it just made the whole process so much simpler. And Mikhail, I see that you did put a super chat out there saying name names. I can't name names until I have a firm commitment. Let's just say that I've got very, very close to firm commitments from some people. So, we're going to make it happen. We're definitely going to make it happen. So Johnny, you're here to talk about you tonight. So
yeah, which is crazy. I appreciate that.
No, like I said, when I was talking with Burke, he's like, "Oh, I know Johnny. He's he's a good guy. We met." And so he said, like I said, say hi, and he's going to watch it in a rerun because he's busy this evening because it's his dad's birthday tonight. So
okay.
So you know how we start these things. We need the origin story.
Yeah. I got my origin story.
Okay.
I got it mapped out. So basically, my collecting kind of breaks into three pieces. Pre-19 or 2006, when I lived in California, I was out in San Fernando Valley, Los Angeles area. Apparently, really close to Jack Kirby. Never knew that. Never would have thought to see him though back then. But I was always the guy that liked comic books. I enjoyed collecting comics and thought that that I thought I had a good collection. You know how that is when you're collecting the key stuff, and whether it's the Ultimates off the shelf or just whatever, you think you have this great collection. And I'd always kind of been into that and never had an eye on art. Even though I lived so close to San Diego Comic-Con, I never thought about it, never thought about original art. And even one of my shop guys I go to, Collector's Paradise in San Fernando Valley, his name's Ed Greenberg. He's on here. He's the owner. Yeah. He was telling me back around 2004, I think, that he's like, hey, I don't really collect comics. I collect this stuff called comic art. And I was like, well, that's just dumb. Like, why would you do that? I mean, comics are great. Current modern comics are the best. Why would you go and collect art? It doesn't even make any sense. And so I wish I would have listened to him then, but I didn't. And so I kind of stayed in that cycle for a while, just collecting comics and enjoying it. And the evolution to original art was very slow, and I think I don't know if a lot of collectors are like that, to where it just doesn't click. And for some collectors, it doesn't ever click. And I don't know why that is. Mm-hmm. I've always been drawn to artists and art. I thought it was cool, but it never really clicked for me to collect it or to even think about it. And I think about 2002 or so, I had a guy commission me a Batman, and I think I have it right here. He worked at a local shop in, see where it is, San Fernando Valley, called Golden Apple. His name was Jesse Mall, and he was drawing all the time. And I went up to him and said, hey, do you do commissions or whatever? Will you draw one for me? And he said, yeah, sure. And so he did it for me, and I love it. I think he did a great job. I really don't commission a lot of people usually because I get really, I don't know. I think I'm not a good artist, but I feel like I'm very critical, if that makes sense, which isn't fair. It's like a total armchair artist thing, we're like, oh, that doesn't look good, but I can't do anything better. So, but I had that kind of mentality when it came to art. So I never really do commissions, but he crushed it. And I had a very low expectations. I remember searching about early 2000s for a Michael Turner piece because I love Michael Turner. Mm-hmm. And so I would go online and on eBay, I found a piece. I grabbed that one too. This is one of my first pieces I think I bought. It's not a published piece. Just a Michael Turner head sketch. I think he did it.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's a little, just, something for me. And I was so excited about him. Well, about 2006, I decided to move to Denver, Colorado. It's where I am now. And by the way, it's snowing outside, which is kind of cool. So moved out 2006, and I kind of realized, as things grow, I don't know if you're like me, Bill, where I have too much stuff. Maybe long boxes of stuff or comics, and they just didn't really bring me pleasure. So I started trying to get rid of them, and I kind of fell into that trap or that mentality of, I have a long box, take it to the comic shop. He'll give me $10,000, and then he looks at it and doesn't want anything. It's like, what? I was paying $5-10 a book for this stuff, and it's not worth anything, And so you kind of quickly see that what you think is valuable isn't always valuable. And so I shifted my focus in 2006 to more key comics, key issues, first appearances, and a little bit of art. I was dabbling a little bit in art, but it's not knowing anything what I was doing. I was buying pieces by people I never heard of on eBay just because it looked cool. I bought a sample page by an artist that I thought it was the real page, had no idea. So a lot of learning that went into that. Thankfully, I bought a lot of key issues, which helped me later to fund comic art, which I don't have a lot of my keys anymore. So I remember listening to Comic Geek Speak. I don't know if you know that podcast for comic collectors. Yeah. Brian Christman, he's on this site, and he goes by Pants. He hasn't been on for a while, but he was he was like, of the guys, he was the comic book guy, comic art guy. And so he was just talking about this podcast that he listens to called Felix Comic Art. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll check it out, learn a little bit about that. And that was basically the moment where, it's almost as if Felix reached his hand out and with the hypodermic needle, and stuck it in my arm, and I was done. I was it. It was comic art all the way. Totally messed me up. I call that my red pill, blue pill moment, where he, like in the Matrix, he gave me the red pill and I took it. And it just opened my eyes, of course, to the glories of comic art. So basically at that point, I just started, learning so much, obsessing about it. Like some guys will talk about on his podcast how they'll listen to it, 10 times over, the same thing. I'll just listen to guys collect. And then you start to see, it's cool. You start to like kind of have this, like, that's actually how I found out about you, about CAF, is from Felix. And I was listening to him and him talking about you, and it just kind of snowballed from there. You hear these stories about these great collectors, and San Diego Comic-Con, which is funny because that was like kind of one of the meccas, of comic art collecting, and back in the 90s and 2000s. And I was like, I was right there, and I never went. And thankfully I got to go back in 1999. I got to go back, and for my first time, that's where I got to meet Berkey for the first time. Thankfully I got a cool page from one of his buddies there. Which gave me a indigestion like crazy after. I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I had a good trade with Anthony, and I met some great guys from Felix's podcast. So just a great thing. I love it. I don't have a huge budget. I have to kind of sell a lot, unfortunately, to create revenue. It's good for me because it allows me to really assess, is this a good piece? Like, do I love it? And sometimes I'll buy a piece because I love it, even though there's no monetary value or it's not going to go up in value. But I try to have both love and potential for an appreciation on that. So that's kind of my origin story.
No, well, that's a smart way to go about the purchases. That's for sure. Because I do the same thing. I don't mind having a couple $100 pieces just because I like them a lot. I don't expect them to appreciate really in value, but at the same time, you got to be savvy. If you want to have your investments appreciate one day, you want to pick some good stuff. As long as you love it, at the end of the day, it's all good. But Felix's podcasts definitely were many collectors' reasons for getting converted to becoming original art collectors. I think he definitely was a trend center. As like I think I've told everybody when he told me to put podcasts and things on his website, I told him this is a bad idea. No one's going to listen to him, and he was adamant. I'm going to do these things and they're going to work. And I was like, well, I'll do whatever you want. You're paying for the work, and he did it. And that just a couple of years later, it was clear that the work that he did was, really paid off for the hobby in general. It was something that I had never even considered doing. And I think Felix played a really, continues to play a really important role in the hobby and the growth of the hobby. As far as an expansion and bringing new collectors into the hobby, he really did, through those podcasts and through the chats that he's done for years, really did a lot of, a reach out effort that CAF could never do just sitting there by itself as a site. And, like I told you in the green room, I never wanted to be that kind of person to do the outreach. I kind of like the site just to kind of suck people in on its own. But Felix was out there. He's been a big supporter of CAF ever since I've known him, even before he was a dealer. And he continues to be. He's always, pitching ideas to me and just, let me know that, he's got my back, and he's done an incredible job. And I'm glad that the podcast is what got you hooked.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Sometimes I wish it didn't, but that's the thing. It's so, it's so like, and I've heard some of his friends on the show say that basically every day I check CAF, I check what's new. I'm looking on eBay. I'm trying to figure out, what's new. And that's kind of the problem with me is I wish I was the kind of collector, there's different types of collectors who, they'll sit and they'll read their comic, over and over again. And then I have a hard time with that because I don't know if it's ADD, I don't know if it's FOMO or fear of missing out, especially with comic art, because it comes up so quickly. And if you don't act right away, it's gone. Right. And so I'm always afraid to kind of enjoy stuff because I'm always looking for the next piece. And I kind of wish I wasn't that way. I wish I was just able to sit and get lost in a book or get lost in a story, but I'm always looking around, you know, trying to find the next piece. And I don't have the budget for that. So it's a constant, you know, I'm coveting things I can't afford, but it is what it is. So, but it's fun. Every day I'm looking. So
no, I think we all are. And, you know, and a lot of guys do it solo. A lot of people do it in groups. A lot of people have friends looking out for them and looking for their stuff. I mean, it's amazing, you know, how much art's available out there today. You know, you think it feels like it's all getting bought up, but as fast as it's being bought up, there's more art out there for sale replacing it. So you do have to be on your toes all the time. You have to go to eBay at least a couple times a week and hit it with your favorite searches, or check categories that aren't original comic art to see if maybe there might be something out there. So it's crazy. And I think that there's, and I mean, I hear rumblings of other things that are going to be coming down, you know, from other sales opportunities that'll be coming up. So not through me, that, you know, I think are pretty exciting too. So it's just going to make us all have to work harder, you know, in a way to kind of keep on top of everything. I did like Jason's comment where he said, my favorite part of the hobby is you start out thinking that you can only that you can't spend $1,000 on a page, and 6 months later you're like 25,000. Great. Can I have 60 days to pay it off? Right.
60 days. Wow. That's good. Jason, I don't need more than 60. Thankfully I haven't had that. I can't go that high. Not yet. You know, 24 would kill me, but yeah, I try, my comfort level is like 5 I'm hurting at 5. So, yeah, I can't do that. But I know exactly what he's talking about. Just the idea of, you know, I'll never, you know, or I'm done. This is the last $3,000 or last $5,000 purchase. I'm done. And then you're like, oh, that looks really cool. You know, I gotta have that now. So
right.
It's so fun. One of one, you know.
That's true. Have you sold a lot that you know, to fund other purchases, or do you kind of keep most things?
Yeah, I have to sell. That's the thing is, unfortunately, I sold most of my comics. That's easy to do for the most part, just to get rid of them. Because if you want, you know, like they always talk about on the podcast, but if you want to get it back, you'll get it back. You just pay for it. You know, you don't have to. You may not get the exact comic, but you'll get that issue again or something similar. You can always buy another comic book. But when you sell that art, it's gone. And so I have done both. I got rid of most of my comics. I still have a fair amount, but I've gotten rid of most of them. And then I have sold a few pieces. And that's the thing about and I think every new collector does this. They buy everything they can in the beginning. They buy as much as they can, as fast as they can. And they start to accumulate. And then after a while, they start to enjoy what they have. And they look through it, and after a while, there's certain pieces that keep rising to the top. There's certain pieces that will kind of go to the back they don't bring as much joy. Maybe that artist doesn't do it for you anymore. Or you like their newer style, their older style. So you start to see these are the pieces I can probably get rid of so I can get nicer pieces. And that's kind of where I've done that mentality too, is shifting towards maybe a little bit, just pieces that I enjoy more. And so it's really hard because there are times when a piece will pop up and my heart says yes, you know, but my mind says, nah, not this one. Wait. And so, yeah, it's funny. I'll even watch your dealers, and sometimes I want to watch later, you know, so just in case, you know, that piece I held this one, the Swan, I got it from Mike, and the Kurt Swan thing I was joking about. And then I got it from Mike, and I kind of missed the first 3/4 of the show. I saw it on the wrap up, and I didn't even know what was going on. I just saw the recap, and I just claimed it right away. So I try not to watch because, you know, get you, you know, they get you, the impulse buy. But it's fun to watch. So yeah, I've done a lot, but I've done a lot of sales. So, you know, I think it kind of helps with it when it comes. I don't know if people care about shipping processes and stuff, you know, because I know it's, you know, you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. And I'm always worried. I always worry about, I don't want anyone to get burned, you know, even if I buy it from somebody, or I don't want them to get burned in the transaction. And so just kind of protocol you can do to make sure, you know, I like to put all the responsibility onto the carrier. Right. So UPS, USPS, I don't let them off the hook. I pay for all the insurance, you know, or just because I want to make sure they get what they get. And then there's not a problem. If there's a problem, I just don't want it to ruin like friendships and such. So.
Right.
Yeah, I've done pretty good on eBay. So
that's a good way to be. You don't want to create enemies in the hobby. It's not a big enough hobby to, that you just don't need those kinds of things. There's enough problems already. So being a good seller is a good thing. And hey, there was a question from Timothy. He asked if that page is in a Mylar bag with a full back.
It is, yeah. Yeah, so, do you guys know E. Gerber?
Mm-hmm.
They do all the Mylar stuff. Now, fortunately, they don't do the backs anymore. So they just do the, this is the full back, I guess the acid, whatever, free. I had like a couple hundred of them, and they only do the bags. If we bug them, maybe they'll make the backs again. But I love they stack really well, and I'm hoping they preserve well. I'm always open to suggestions, so I'll kind of throw out to you guys too the best way to store. I don't really use the Itoya, whatever, the portfolios. I don't use them very often. I just throw them in here, and they lay pretty flat, and I can stack them pretty high, and they stick good. They stick well together. So yeah, that's what I do. So, and hopefully they'll bring them back. So
that would be nice. Yeah, that's something we're going to be starting a collector kind of focus show. I don't know. It could be in the next few weeks. I don't think we've really set a date yet. We're going to do a test run on it on Saturday. But those are the kind of topics that we want to tackle. Is how do we prefer to store our artwork or display our artwork or ship our artwork and pack it, those sorts of things, and just kind of cover all the basics that I think that I get asked about all the time. I get asked how to frame art. What's the right way to do? All these things. And so when I was talking with some people, and I was like, it would be cool to have a show where we kind of address some of those things and talk about from our own experiences how we do these things. And I think that would be super beneficial especially for new collectors and old collectors too, just to see how everyone chooses to display their artwork or take the best care of it, and what kind of portfolios do they prefer to use. Do you have a fire safe? All those things, all the questions that I'd love to ask everybody, and I tend to forget.
That's a good one, because the fire safe I'm worried about. I don't have one, and I don't even know where to begin. So I'd be curious about that. I know, like, when it comes to eBay and stuff, a lot of people don't realize that when you sell an item, that you're responsible for it to get there. And maybe if you do it on the side without PayPal or like friends and family, then there's no responsibility.
Right.
But as a seller, you're always responsible for making sure the item gets there in the condition, even if they don't pay for insurance. If they don't pay the shipping, you still have to get it there. And I learned this lesson the hard way, because I would always do insurance, but I wouldn't always check a signature. And I think they auto sign for over, I think it's 300 maybe. I think it's 300, or maybe it might be 300. But anyways, they don't do it so much with COVID right now, because they're just leaving packages. Right. But I think it still puts the responsibility in their court. But I didn't check the signature, and then it was like a $200 comic or something, and it got delivered, and they knew it was delivered, but it was delivered to the wrong building. So the fact that it wasn't lost, it wasn't covered, because they knew where it was. And I was like, that's crazy, And so really, my rule is I'll always insure it. And then if I can lose it, I won't check the box for the signature. But if it gets to a point where I'm like, I got to get my money back out of that, then I'll always check the box. Just pay the extra, and just make sure you're protecting yourself as a seller. So, yeah, I've seen some bad packages come my way, and it's just like, you're killing. You see a lot of the guys on CAF or on Facebook. You're just like, oh my gosh, that piece is bent in half. It never stood a chance, Right. And I try to take as much out of the carrier's hand. I don't want them to mess it up. I know Tatiana, I kind of stole some of her packaging methods. She does a great job, fresh, supplies, and then a couple pieces, and the way she does it, she does a great job. So I kind of stole her thing. I've adapted it to my own, but it's very similar to her. So.
Right. Well, there's no, you want that art to arrive as you sent it. That's the thing. I mean, nobody wants it. Like you said, they're all one of a kind. So you can't be shipping art and have it get damaged along the way. I've been pretty fortunate, and I've never had anything damaged that I've shipped or that I've gotten. But obviously, I've seen plenty of horror stories out there. And it almost always comes down to bad shipping, right? At the end of the day, or packing. They packed it poorly, and then you just never can tell what you're going to get. I always prefer a couple pieces of masonite on both sides, and then cardboard as well, And I always, I'm surprised sometimes people that don't put the art in a Mylar and they just put it inside. I still haven't had an issue, but it's shocking.
Yeah, yeah,
right,
pretty scary.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, I can't believe it made it, but it did.
Yeah, thankfully you don't know how. Thankfully, when you pay for it, you don't know how it's coming. Because sometimes I've had a couple where I'm like, oh, I can't believe it didn't get damaged. I'm happy. But if I would have known it was like that coming my way, I would not have slept at all because it's going to get destroyed. And sometimes it makes it okay. Usually it's okay, but
right.
Still.
Right. I mean, I've had plenty of Amazon packages, always get beat up, and it's just amazing that so far no art packages have arrived like a lot of my Amazon purchases have. So, yeah, and just so there's a bill bot. It's no need to really describe how it works, but essentially it allows me to not use Nightbot, and it puts out the reminders for me that I'm terrible about, saying please like the chat and remember to subscribe and all that kind of thing. So it's just a little automated thing on a timer. I've had out there for a couple weeks now, so it's my co-pilot, I guess you could say.
I think we could all use a bill bot in our lives.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Reminders. Yeah.
Yep. No. But no, that's so you haven't really you've never had a shipping problem receiving art. No.
I'm trying to think. I had one, but it was a gift. So, and he never ships art, so it was just in a padded envelope with nothing and just the art. So it got damaged. I put it underneath, totally press it out. But for the most part, I had one piece got a little bend, but it wasn't terrible. It flattened out as well. So thankfully, yeah. But I always try to ask those questions ahead of time. Especially on eBay, how do you pack your art? Because I had this one page I bought, and I said, "Hey, how do you ship your art?" And he says, "Well, I just rolled up and put it in a tube." I said, "Oh, okay. Don't do that. Don't do that. So let's do it this way." So sometimes it's good to ask those questions, just ahead of time. So
yeah, no, and I, as a seller, I would always get asked that, and I thought, well, I wish I was never that smart to ask how do you ship art? When I was buying on eBay, when I started selling a lot 10 years ago, that was something that got asked almost every time, and I was like, man, some buyers are really savvy, to make sure that their art's not going to arrive damaged. I never was.
Yeah, and I just like, even in eBay, I don't want to be like, hey, I'm sending it back. It's like I don't want to ever have to do that because it puts them in a bad position, and if they didn't insure it, then they got to eat it. I just don't like that. So thankfully, I've had good eBay stuff too. So I've had a couple people return stuff to me, but it wasn't because of damage, just because it wasn't the product they wanted. So it's all good.
Yeah. Understandable. So some people talking about getting art shipped in tubes. So yeah, it happens. It happens a lot. I've seen it, but fortunately, at least when it's, you can flatten them.
It does increase. Yeah, that's good. I think I have some Finch pages like that they kind of have a little bend to them.
Yep.
I think they're in a tube at some point. Yeah.
It happens. It definitely happens. So why don't we look at some artwork? Do you want to talk about some pieces from your collection? All right. Let me load a few up here. All right.
Yeah. So this is the funny thing with art, and comics, even in general too. We start out in a certain, going down a certain rabbit trail, and all of a sudden we see something new and we go towards that. There's always something to uncover and discover. And that was Joe Kubert for me. When I first started out in comics, it was like late 80s, early 90s, some 2000s. And then like Kubert was never on my radar. And then over time, I kept being drawn to these old war covers, just how gorgeous they were, how just they're so beautifully done. And there's so much emotion in them. And I picked this up from Anthony actually in San Diego. My first time meeting him, which is great. He was a great guy. I loved it's so fun just meeting him and negotiating with him. I always watch his shows and, watching these guys negotiate. It's like, I wish I was there. It'd be fun. But I just love Joe Kubert. I had a chance at potentially 3 or 4. I think Berkey had a couple. Comic Connect had one. And then Anthony had this one. And I love the kids. I love the fear. I love the protector, the male protector. You get Jed, you get the haunted tank. So it's like I just had everything that I wanted. I love the big title on it. I love the font of that title. 15 center was great, and I just love. And weirdly enough, I've always loved Joe Kubert's signature, and so I had to have an actual signature. I couldn't have the stat because I saw a couple pieces they had a stat of his signature, and I just had to have his signature. So just because I loved it, it was so iconic to me. So that was it. I made the deal with Anthony, and I gave up a good thing for it, but it was worth it for me. So, and I've since got that thing I gave up, so I got it back. So
you got it back. All right.
Yeah, so it was good. So
did you get it back with Anthony or somewhere down the line?
No, down the road. Yeah. So yeah, I had to sell. I actually had full disclosure. I had to sell a TMNT number 1 first printing recently. I had to sell it to pay for some stuff, and then that was part of the deal. So he gave me a new. I had a Hulk 181. So got that one back, and then not as good of a grade, but got it back, and then got some cash. So pay off some stuff. So pay down some stuff at least. So or off, yeah.
Well, that is a beautiful cover, and the signature alone, I completely agree. He's got one of the most unique signatures out there, and Kubert is somebody that I don't have anything from, and I have to fill that hole in my collection. Yeah. But yeah, that's so you actually did a little bit of a trade with comics with Anthony. I mean, that's
some money, yeah, some cash, and that's honestly, and to sing his praise a little bit. And some of the other guys too are great about that too. But when you can trade stuff, it doesn't hurt as much. Whether it's pages or whether it's comics or a combination of that and cash. It's like I would never be able to afford that. I would never just run the card for that, or pull that cash out. Never. But I could give up something and then a little bit of cash for it. You know what I'm saying? So I could do that. Right. And it was very exciting. He made my that San Diego trip was awesome for all the dealers, all the guys I met. It was awesome. So got to meet Tatiana there. That was fun. Tatiana, she's great. Mm-hmm. So I got to meet her there, and just a lot of people from the podcast. Side note, I went up to Albert Moy. Never met him. He didn't no idea who I was, but I knew who he was from the podcast. Mm-hmm. I said, "Hey," it's a pleasure to meet you. And he was like, what is this guy? It's like, you don't know who I am, but I know who you are. And I love hearing your stories. So just a pleasure to meet you. That's all I wanted to say. And I got out of there, but I kind of weirded him out a little bit, but it's all good.
Albert is very easy to weird out. I can tell you
okay.
For sure. I'm sure he's not watching, but it is true. It's he's I don't know. It's just his way. I'll say something to him and I don't know if I've said the wrong thing. I don't know. What did I say to him last night? There was we were texting just the other night it was just yesterday. He had some weird issue and he's having me do some website design. And so I pulled his leg. I said, and he said he really wanted this one thing. And I said, yeah, I told Maureen that the price is no object to get that one thing done. And he was like, huh? What? You can tell that, there was that, he knew I was joking, but there was that momentary, are you serious?
That's in my humor. I try to be funny all the time, and there's nothing that sobers me up quicker than when somebody takes me seriously. Even the whole bit in the beginning, I'm like, please don't take me seriously. That'll just make me feel weird. So I let you know ahead of time it was coming. So right.
No. There's some people you can pull their leg, and other people you can't. So yeah, he's definitely one of them. Let's see. But again, I was just going to say the good thing about Anthony is you can trade things other than art with him because of the fact that he deals in comics and toys and sports memorabilia and everything. So it's like you don't have to go to him just with art, whereas pretty much every other dealer you would have to do that. So let's see. We got. That's right. Here we go. I like this one. Yeah.
So this is when you talk about your cover piece or whatever you in CAF, we talk about our Grail piece. Mm-hmm. And right now I have my Michael Turner cover, and it'll probably show up later. And I love that piece, but this to me is probably my Grail piece, mainly because I'm a big Stephanie Brown fan, and so we talked about Marvel earlier, how you're kind of promoting Marvel. Well, we're gonna go DC a little bit now, because I'm a big Bat Family guy. I love Batman, but also I love more the B and C characters. Tim Drake, Stephanie Brown, Cassandra Cain, kind of the quote unquote lesser of the Bat Family. Stephanie Brown doesn't get her own book, or rarely. She's had it once or so. So I just love it. It's her first cover. I was thrilled to get it. This was with Cool Line, so the Donnelly brothers had this one. And I'd watch it for a while, and then I think it was one of my bigger purchases at the time. And then I saw him bump it, and I was like, oh shoot, you could do that. You could bump the price up. I guess you can. So I saw the price bumped up. I was like, oh, I better figure this out. So I just made time payments to him. They shipped it out perfectly, had a great experience. And so, yeah, so this is my Grummett spoiler, first appearance on our cover book. Yeah, I love it. It's great. It's great action. I love that the things are pasted on there too. Makes it feel, you kind of see that nowadays where the newer covers don't have it on there. And it's kind of, I like it, but I love seeing as it was, so.
Yep. No. So what do you mean by bump it up? I guess that was the
price.
Was it you picked that up at a show?
No, I was watching it online.
Oh, you're watching it online. Okay.
It's smart to, I'm talking about over the course of about a year.
Okay. So you're watching the price go up on.
I'm watching it, and all of a sudden I saw it jump an increment. I was like, well, that makes sense because things are going up. Right. So I was like, okay, I got to act now. So I think we slightly negotiated, and then, but he put the screws to me. I had to do it. So it makes sense.
No, I know. Well, I mean, because I've seen, prices go up during a show and that kind of thing.
Okay. Wow. Like right away.
It happens. Well, when there's a lot of interest, I mean, but I've seen it not happen. It's happened more than just with them. But when you were mentioning them, I've definitely seen that happen at a show or a couple times. So it happens just when some people want to get the most they can get out of something. I don't know. Everybody's got their own way of doing business.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I thought about that on eBay too. If I have a piece that's sitting for a year, it's shit. Even though it didn't sell, I could probably bump it up. I'd be curious to see the messages I get, because demand is, the comic art has gone up, and even though they're not buying it now, I could bump it up easily. So,
well, right. Well, I think dealers all today have a really hard time with that, because how can they keep up with the pricing changes in the hobby? I mean, they simply can't. When you see these, like the Kirby Thor pages that sold recently, that everything's just selling for so much more than it should. Well, I can't even say that's than it should. It's gaining value exponentially. I don't know how the dealers can keep up with updating their sites to keep the prices at the market price, because like Mike had said, after the last signature auction, he had 24 plus orders on Sunday, because everybody saw what things were going for. And so those guys who, people who were the underbidder or two and didn't get their art, they were like, heck, I got to go over here and buy what I couldn't get over here. And so he had more orders on that day than he probably had at any day during the entire year. So it just, so I mean, I'm sure he looked at it and said, wow, I could have changed, if I could have changed all those prices before the show, or before the auction was over, if I could have kept up with it, but what are you going to do? There's just nothing you can do about that. So,
I have a lot of respect actually for guys, whether it's a comic shop owner or whether it's an art dealer who put pieces with a price, because really what they're not going to go through and inventory that all the time. We are as collectors, we're always looking through their inventory for the deal. But, the comic shop, even that will price their books, then Star Wars releases this character and now everyone's going back to, and trying to find it, and they're faster than the shop owners. And but I really respect that. I couldn't, it's scary for me. I hate pricing art. When I'm trying to sell it, I hate it. I like to put it on eBay and see how many watchers I start to get. That kind of helps me gauge it, Right. And that kind of makes sense. With comic art fans, I'm scared. I'll do it sometimes, but to sell, I'm always scared to underprice it. And and we think we know, but we don't. I mean, a lot of times there's some guys that are really good at it, but I'm not one of those guys. So I'll ask around sometimes.
I like Tatiana's comment. I like how Bill's not how much Bill is not saying right now. That is good. Yeah, well, I'm actually in a quandary like that right now with something that because I do get compensated through the Dueling Dealer stuff, and Mike and I had found something that I wanted, and we can't figure out what the value to put on it. And so it's almost to the point where I'm kind of uncomfortable trying to take the piece, because the market has changed so much that I look at it now and I'm thinking, I don't know. I mean, it's like, I don't know what price to take it at. He's trying to be fair, because, it's something that he had stashed away for like 10 years and didn't even know he had. And we found it when we were going through some stuff at his house a few weeks ago. And I'm thinking, I I almost don't want it, because I'm afraid what the value really is on it, and it's like I'd rather have a lot of small stuff than just one.
You deserve good stuff. You do. I think what you're doing for those guys, I'm glad you're getting compensated.
Right. Well, I think in 2 or 3 years when my kids are out of college, I'll feel better about those sorts of things. But my point just being is that he and I both look at it and we can't figure out what the value is on it, because if we went out and asked some people, it's probably, we probably wouldn't want people to know that Mike had this particular piece. So it's frustrating because, I look at it when I'm over there. I'm just like, and he's the same thing. We both kind of shake our head and we're like, I don't know what this thing would be worth.
Yeah. So. And if he doesn't know, I'm telling you then.
Right.
Then,
yeah. The people we'd have to ask about it they'd all want it. That's the thing. And
okay.
At that point, it's like I should just say, okay, just sell it. We'll find something else that I can. Well, that I know what the value is on it.
Yeah. Well, I hope you get it. This is that way.
Yeah.
I hope you get it, Bill.
Me too. I do. It's but that's the way I am with those kinds of deals. So, but hey, let's look at some more art because
sounds good.
Yeah. Here we go. This is let's see. Okay, here we go. Suicide Squad.
All right. Yeah, this is my second Donnelly purchase, and I think it's my last one. I haven't bought one from them in a while, and this is another same kind of thing. So for me, I didn't love the Killing Joke, right, because of what it did to Barbara Gordon, but I loved the character that they created, from it, the Oracle, So she was the behind the scenes kind of. She was, kind of like the operative behind the scenes, and her character was so valuable, I think. And I think I love the idea of having someone with a disability, still being, heroic and celebrated and just well written. And so this is the first time that we see the name The Oracle. It was in the Suicide Squad. Amanda Waller, I think, was emailing or something, whatever. They called her Oracle on the computer. And then you will later see in issue 38 that the Oracle is Barbara Gordon. And she's sitting in her wheelchair and she just, she's just all defeated. So this cover, you don't see anything on there, but it is the first appearance of the Oracle. It's as close as I'll get to the Killing Joke. Let's just put it that way. It's Killing Joke adjacent because it's Barbara Gordon kind of renewed and reborn essentially. So that's why I loved it. Has a classic, I think it's late 80s, right? 89 feel to it. Just mech tanks, got some Suicide Squad members from behind, but it just has it's very full. I love it. It's probably one of my top favorite pieces.
That's a great one. Really nice.
And I'm glad to see they're bringing kind of the Oracle back a little bit. They got rid of her. They gave her the ability to walk, Barbara Gordon, so she was back early again. And so I'm kind of glad they haven't made her disabled, but they put her back in the kind of more in that role. So it's kind of nice. And then it lets the other girls shine, Cassandra Cain, Stephanie Brown. So makes me happy.
Yeah, no, I get it. Let's see. Here's another one.
Yeah, so there's two pieces in here. And a lot of my collecting, I really love the interaction with either the people, the artists, the reps, or there's a place in my life. And this is from Tatiana, TD Art, Sia Ohm. I think I said that right. I remember when my wife was pregnant with our daughter, she's going to bed right now. But I remember seeing this comic on the shelf, and I was like, oh, that is beautiful. I already was looking, I already had baby brain anyways, right? So I see this nursery, I see this pregnant Spider Woman, and I go, that's amazing. So I bought the comic, never knew who Sia was. Started going now down that Sia, rabbit hole. So, then I got into Lola, whatever, all that kind of stuff. And I remember reaching out to Tatiana because we become pretty good friends. And I said, hey, does she have this cover? And she's like, no, it's long gone. I think it was 2015. I was probably asking in 2019. It's just, yeah, I think it's gone. And so I was like, okay, whatever. I was at my daughter's wedding, my oldest daughter's wedding. And it was wedding night, and I saw an email come through from Tatiana, and she says, these cover drop, whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, there it is. So I emailed her right away and said, I have to have it. So I love the colors. I mean, she just does beautiful work. And for me, it means so much to me. It reminds me of my daughter. So, and my wife,
Oh yeah. That's a beautiful cover.
Yeah. She does great work.
Spider-Woman #1 variant.
At least, yeah, I believe so. So, and I've loved her stuff ever since. So Sia does great work.
Yeah, no, she absolutely does, without question. And Tatiana even sending you hearts. That's it. Yeah. And let's see. I'll see. There's Bill.
Actually, can I say something else about Tatiana? A good thing about her.
Please do.
She did me the greatest favor. So I had 2 pieces on hold from her. One was an Iris executive assistant cover, and one was one of her Madam Wasteland covers from Sia. Both Sia covers. And Tatiana, I didn't notice at the time, but I think she was selling her personal cover at the time. She was selling her comic. And so I'd agreed to buy those 2, and then I saw these come up, and she let me switch them over because this was like, I had to have this one. It was like, this to me was the grail of them all. And so she gave up her sale on hers, to help me out. It didn't make me feel bad at all about it. She was great. I don't try not to do that normally, but it was just they're pretty, they're a little expensive for me. And so to be able for her to let me do that was a huge, thank you. She didn't have to do that. And she really took care of me like that. So she goes above and beyond.
I agree. Tatiana's one of the great ones.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely Tatiana. She knows that.
She does.
We've worked on many projects over the years together, whether it was Big Wow or Comic Art Live. She's always been there for me as well. So I can't say enough good things about Tatiana. Yeah, this is Erik Gist.
Yeah, you said his name right, actually. Did you know that?
I did. Well, I've met Erik a few times. Yeah, he exhibits at the IX Art Show, and his booth was next to mine when I was selling Infected by Art books, and he had his stuff on display. And yeah, he's a great person, a fabulous artist, and I really love this painting.
Yeah, he I would always call him Geist, but it's Gist, like gift. And I remember, so this one, I think I stumbled across this piece on Instagram, and I started reaching out to him, and I bought this one. And I bought his Moon Knight cover, and I told him I was going to be on because I was going to be promoting him. When I first saw his stuff, I have a cover in my CAF Gallery. It's by him. It's a pencil only piece. It's a Deathstroke variant cover when they did those Halloween issues, and the pencil in it is amazing. And apparently he digitally colored it, so it is the original. And when I saw that, and then I saw these are the Marvel Flair cards that came out a couple years ago.
Yep.
The problem with this actual piece, these pieces, is it kind of got me down the comic or the collecting card, like baseball cards, football card, rabbit hole. And I kind of got in trouble down that hole, trying to get rookies and autographs and all that kind of stuff. Thankfully, I've calmed down a little bit. But yeah, so this is, he's great. Love this piece. I get a lot of comments on this, and then the Moon Knight. So, I look at these things and I just can't believe that people can do that. It's incredible. So, yeah, I love Gist's work. I love, he's a great guy. I try to buy some of his newer stuff, and I think it's, it's spoken for already. So,
right. I was just going to ask the same question Marcus did. What was the size of the painting? Because I remember I think most of his were in that 12 by 18 range, but
yeah, not that big. These are smaller. So I think they're like, I want to say 10 by 15, somewhere in that. They're on the thick board.
Yep.
And
but still larger than some guys that do trading card artwork. So that's
yeah. They look nice. I got them right next to each other. So I love them. Looking at them right now. So
if you check out Johnny's gallery, you can see the Moon Knight one that he has as well. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And then look at that Deathstroke too. That pencil work it's incredible. So
I will have that bookmark to look at after the show.
Oh, this piece, I forgot to say that. So I have these like Bill Cox moments where I'm like, you highlighted this piece on one of the emails that you sent out. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Cause I don't always get selected for the best ofs or whatever. Yeah. But you highlighted this one. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I even screenshot. I was like, that's cool. I made it on CAF. So Bill liked my piece. So that's the one that you liked, Bill. You liked that one. So
That's right. I mean, well, you know, I try to spread it around as much as I can. It's tough sometimes, and you know, sometimes I feature, you know, too much Marvel, and I try to mix it up. But no, it's fun, and that's one of my more enjoyable things. And Colin does that a lot for me now, whereas I was doing it for years up until I brought Colin on. But he's got, like I said, he's got an eye for it, and he definitely, you know, looks in a lot of different directions than I do. He and I kind of work on themes and kind of focus on different things on a monthly basis, where I try to say, hey, let's go after the old, you know, an older artist this period, or female artists, you know, a month ago or whatnot. And, you know, we just try to be topical with what we're picking. But with Gist, I love his work, and any opportunity I get to promote anybody who works in that kind of realm, you know, that more, I don't even want to call it more fine art, but who works in that IX, you know, that kind of show mentality, the Infected by Art book. I like promoting those guys, especially when they cross over into comics. There's a lot of those guys that are working, you know, that do mostly cover work now, and I think it's really cool to see those guys, you know, getting the opportunity to work in more mainstream things versus strictly being pigeonholed into gaming artwork or different things like that. So.
Yeah, I think he does some Magic the Gathering right now. I think he was working on Conan for a while. Do you like Conan covers? Mm-hmm. The Moon Knight recently. So yeah, he's good. He's good. He's great. So this is my Michael Turner piece. Like I said, growing up, you know, I was probably 20, 25, around the prime of my collecting time. I guess I was a little bit later bloomer with art or comics, and I'm in love. I love Michael Turner. I love his work. I've heard he's an amazing guy. Never got to meet him. I bought this from Frank. I want to say, I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, Mascherano, something like that.
Yeah.
The head of Aspen. Mm-hmm. And I bought this from when they came out to Denver a couple years ago. And I'd never seen Michael Turner art in my life in person. You know, I had that one Batman head sketch, and that was it. And then I met him. I was like, hey, can I look through the portfolio? You have any Michael Turner art? And sure enough, he pulls it out from under the table. It's expensive stuff. And he had this piece, and then he had a couple other pieces, and then he also had the Canon Zero. So this is number one. He had the Zero, which is, to me, it was more iconic for me. I remembered it more, but this has a lot more going on with it. And so I was like, yeah, let me think it over. And I of course, then started obsessing, you know, like which one? I got to get one, but which one? And so I just kept going back and forth. And then I just, you know, instantly it was, I remember I was going to go potentially try to get into see Stanley speak. And then I got denied. And as soon as I walked away from that, because it was too full, I walked away and I go, I got to get the duality. You know, you see that like good and evil kind of in him. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know, we all have a little good and we all have a little evil, you know, coming in this that battle. And so I'm a Christian guy. So I have that, you know, that dichotomy that, you know, fighting, I got to fight this and try to be this way. And I just like, you know what? It's got to be this piece. So I ran back up to Frank and I bought it from him, and I was talking to him a little bit about Mike. And I actually got really emotional because I never got to meet Mike. And so just talking to him, I started welling up a little bit, and, you know, just the closest I'll ever be, you know, to Michael Turner is Frank, you know. Mm-hmm. So just talking to him about it, it was really a cool experience. I love it. You know, I don't ever see myself getting rid of it. So I would love to have a nice Supergirl by him, or, you know, a Batman, a nice cover, or Superman cover, DC stuff. I mean, I love the Marvel stuff too. The Civil War covers were awesome. But yeah, this is a great piece for me. I just love it.
That's a beauty. Absolutely. I mean, I've always loved Turner's work. And I got to meet him once in Pittsburgh Comic Con, but that was the only time. So no, he's an incredible talent, and it's great that there is, you know, a fair amount of his work out there. I know Tatiana's a big fan of his as well.
Yeah, she has a lot. Yeah, she has a lot by him.
Yeah,
I'm jealous. All right, so this is as close as I'll ever get. Well, actually, is to a Romita Sr. Spider-Man cover. I bought this from Mike. Like I was telling you the story earlier, San Diego, and I bought it from Berkey, but it was through his friend, and I think his friend's name was John. Really nice guy, and I wasn't gonna spend any money. You know, I was planning on just, you know what, I'm gonna get in, I'm gonna get out, I'm gonna try to be as good as I can, and then I came across this piece, and I was like, oh man. And for me, it's weird, but it means something for me to buy a piece of Romita Spider-Man from Romita Man, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's weird or not, but I think it's cool to me. Just the memory. It's cool that I got it from him. Love talking to him. It was a great experience. He even let me hold the cover to Submariner. Where they crossed over Submariner and Iron Man. Was that it?
Yeah.
With that number one, was it Tales to? Anyways, that number one cover where they kind of like relaunched their own titles for all of them. He let me hold that cover. It's like $400,000 cover, or I don't know, something like that. And I was like, that's crazy that you don't even know me and you're letting me hold it. So I love kind of the star, the campy, the characters. I remember this is kind of my younger days. I probably was 10 or so, 15, 10. I can't tell what date it is. I think it was, I want to say, would that be 86 in that range? So it's probably 11, 12. You'd see these things on the stands. I never really read them, but I was always drawn to the Star comics. They're kind of cool. And I don't know if we even really understand who did what on this cover. Because even Berkey was saying something about it doesn't really look like Romita Spider-Man, but he's in the first position by the little box in the bottom. He signed it. So we think it was probably Romita Spider-Man at least, and then everything else was probably Warren Kramer. And he did a lot of the Casper, Richie Rich, and he did even some horror comics. So he was, talk about versatile. So he was a stud in the way that he just had the ability to draw cartoony and then more horror style. So yeah, I'm excited. Another thing, yeah, I'll never be able to afford an Amazing Spider-Man Romita cover, but I have this and I'm happy. So, and it was a good experience too.
No, yeah, Mike's a good guy, and yeah, that was and Dino pointed out that was the one shot was Subby and Iron Man. Yeah, that was, and you're right, that was an asking price of $400,000. Yeah. And I know it sold in like December or something. So
yeah, that was a great cover. Yeah,
you will never find a cleaner, more pristine cover than that one. I mean, that was right. I mean,
for the 60s, right? Is that 60s? So
yeah, I mean, it was
great shape.
Like
White.
It was just drawn. I don't know how the heck. I have no idea if it had any work done on it at all. I assume not, because usually Mike would say something to me about that. But it was such perfect condition. I was so impressed by it, and it went to a good home. I know that.
So it looks like Fred Chamberlain said maybe layouts. Maybe I wonder if he laid out the whole thing. I don't know. I don't know if even Mike didn't really know. He might know now. So, but yeah. He said John wouldn't have signed it, right, unless he did a good bit. Yeah, that's what Mike said too. He's in the first position, so it's Romita Kramer. It's signed at the bottom by Romita, so he at least touched it. So, and that's the beauty of original art. I love the fact that the artist held it. So that's why the monoprints are kind of a little bit tougher for me. Some of the blue line, if it's not the penciler that I want, it's the inker, and I don't, some inkers I would love to have a blue line Sienkiewicz. That'd be great. I don't care who the pencils. The copy's fine, but like usually I'm going for the primary artist. The inker is a bonus, but so I just love that. I love that they held it. So.
Nope.
I know you bought a lot of these NFTs lately. Didn't you buy a lot of these NFTs? Yeah.
No, I haven't. I've talked a lot about NFTs in the last couple months. I can tell you that, but no, have not. NFTs are not for me. That would be my T-shirt if I could make one. But they're definitely here to stay, one way or another. But
and that's the thing too. It's like I try. I think sometimes I can become a little elitist, in what I think is good, what I like, what I don't like. Mm-hmm. And I try to be careful not to do that, because there are people who love their pages that, that I would never want, and they love them with everything they are. And you know what, if they want a digital thing or a monoprint, that's good for them. If that's what makes them happy, then that's okay, and I don't need to be, I get on my high horse sometimes. I think it's sometimes out of insecurity, where we think, oh, we know, and they don't know anything, especially in this hobby, you get humbled a lot with the original art. Some guys have some amazing collections, and, and they know, even listening to some of your guests, last week you had Jeff on. I had not heard any of half those artists.
Right.
You know, and they're big artists, and I had not heard it, you know, so we're always humbled, and it's nice to be taught. It's nice to be open to being like, this is beautiful. I don't know why they say it is. Let me learn. Why is this beautiful? You know, so.
Right. No, it's true. I mean, every day. That's why that's the best part of doing these interviews is I tend to learn something with every interview I do. And in most cases, I've never, you know, like I mentioned with Jeff, I had only emailed with him. I'd never talked to him before. So for me, I get more out of these chats than probably the audience does. Or hopefully everybody gets a lot out of them. But that's the whole point. I mean, we really are, you know, I'm learning a lot. I think everybody gets a lot out of these things, and it's exposing us to different artwork. That's why I wanted to always kind of have you show me which pieces you want to talk about, because those are the pieces you're passionate about and have good stories, and that, you know, like everybody said, John wouldn't have signed it if he didn't have a fair amount of you know, interest in finishing that piece of artwork. So, you know, I am with you on that. But yeah. But NFTs, I'm sorry, I'm just reading in the chat a little bit.
Mine slowed down for a second there. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, NFTs are definitely here to stay. I just think, you know, I think that we're going to see them, you know, as far as the big two getting into it a bit. They're probably going to have to work a few details out, I think, before we start seeing a lot of Marvel and DC characters in NFTs in the near future. But it's going to happen. But yeah.
And I always say, hey, let them spend their money on that. So hopefully they don't come after the stuff I want. So. Right.
Exactly. You know, because the last thing we need is to have a bunch of NFT billionaires getting into the comic art hobby. And
yeah, we don't want them. Yeah.
No, let them stay out there with the digital.
Stay out there. That's good stuff. That's the good stuff.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah. So
Silvestri.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Yeah.
I like this a lot. And Joe Weems inks. Beautiful.
Well, it's funny. I think I was talking to Tatiana a couple days before this and just saying, hey, I need to get some Joe Weems inks. You know, I don't have anything by him. And then I saw this come on CAF for sale, and he had a couple pieces that were really great pieces. And I said, hey, you know, I know Tatiana was looking for a Michael Turner Joe Weems piece, a Fathom piece, and he had one of those as well. So I said, hey, just so you know, this is out there. And I probably would have gone for it, but she was interested in it too. So I was like, yeah, go ahead, you take it. So, you know, we kind of worked out a deal, and we together, we bought about, I want to say 6 or 7 pieces, and this is one of them. So, great piece. You know, I think it's from volume 3. It's a cover A. It says alternate cover, but it's actually cover A. Hard to find in the wild. I had to search for a while to find one. But it's, you know, I think I want to say it might be even Marc Silvestri's last Darkness cover, but I'm not positive. I think it might be, because I think I'm trying to think who did I can't remember who did the volume 3 covers. I want to say Kirkham, but maybe I'm wrong there. But yeah, so it just kind of shows off a lot of Joe's work, and I always loved the Image stuff, Top Cow, growing up, Witchblade, Darkness, Aspen, and so to have a cover by Marc Silvestri really means a lot to me. You know, this isn't probably one of the, you know, volume 1 covers, but still, to me, I love the ink work and just what he did. And I actually got to meet Marc Silvestri at the San Diego Con also, which is really cool. And I had him sign a book with this in there. And I actually was just wanting to get a signature, and I grabbed this big art book and I was flipping through. I was like, oh, please let it be in there. Sure enough, it was in there. And so he signed it. And he even said, he's like, oh, yeah, that's a great cover. I love that cover. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. So really thankful.
No, that's a beauty. And Tatiana was commenting as well that you bought like 3 or 4. You both bought 3 or 4 pieces or maybe more from them. So, yeah, very nice.
It was a big sale. Yeah, it was. He did well. So. And so I think Tatiana was happy she got what she wanted, and then she got some good Silvestri pages in there too. So it's just really cool.
Yeah, for me, Tatiana would be something X related. You know, anything from Silvestri's first run or something he did with Grant Morrison. There was 4 issues that he did late in the run. I'd like something from that. I know it's around, I know, but yeah, that would be what I'd be looking for. I had a piece from the Grant Morrison run, and unfortunately sold it, like I did with a lot of my good artwork a while back.
But you know what, Bill? You know, I always talk about with regret. You know, if you were, it's like, it's like time traveling. If you go back in time and you undo something that you regret, the timeline's going to change. So if you were to undo those sales, you wouldn't have, some things would leave your life, whether it's your, mini golf or whatever it is, something would leave your life and your life would change. So that's why when it comes to me, I regret certain things. And I always say, well, if I can go back, if I bought it, but it would affect other stuff, it would be hard to be like, yeah, I did get it. And then all of a sudden 2 or 3 pieces I really love are gone because I couldn't afford it.
Right.
It's like,
right.
I don't want to roll. I don't want to roll that dice. I'm good. No regrets. It's okay.
No, that's very true. And I say I regret it, but at the end of the day, most of that artwork went to fund building that miniature golf course, which I'm actually looking. I'm looking to sell it now because Dueling Dealers is doing so well, and it's like, well, after 14 years, it's time to pass the torch. I mean, 14 years. I've been doing CAF for 18 years. Another, that thing for 14 years. How many people have stuck with one job for so long? I mean, most people change jobs every 4 or 5 years, and here I've stuck with 2 things that I started on my own for that long, and it's time to kind of wean myself off of a few things. So, but I don't regret doing. I regret and I don't regret having done it. But
the new X-Men cover you sold was like, oh, that's a good one.
Don't see it now. Now I am starting to feel a lot of regret
because that's a first appearance, right?
Yeah.
And
I had several. I probably had like 6 new X-Men covers. I had 114, the first one with Grant Morrison, and then I had. Gosh, I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah, don't think about it.
Yeah. Not at all.
Just think about when you sell your golf course, how much you're going to make. So that'll be good.
Right. Well, Maureen's probably already got that spent, but yeah. But at the end of the day, the thing is, the golf course was really, for me, I was always very quiet, shy. I didn't really like getting out in front of people, and the golf course made me have to be a master, an MC every single day, and it really just changed my philosophy on talking to total strangers, and and it certainly, I think it carries over into the persona of me that you see out here today. The mini golf was a great thing, great asset for me to learn how to do public speaking and just be more outgoing. So
yeah, well, it's funny because my wife's very introverted. I think like you say you're introverted, but she's really good at being extroverted, and she just gets tired in doing it. But you do a great job. I already said that, but just the questions you ask, the way you keep it going, you do a good job. So I would never guess you're introverted. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it's okay. It doesn't matter. I mean, once the camera starts rolling, everything changes. But yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. I can't, it's hard to call myself an introvert now after having done that for so long and having done these for almost a year now. So yeah, it's funny. Yeah, Mr. Customer Service is what Marcus says. So it's true. when you gotta be friendly and you gotta be outgoing. That's how you keep customers and stuff. So anyway, we've talked about my mini golf enough. Let's see. This here's an X-Men piece or an X-related piece.
Oh yeah. This is one of those nights when I was going to bed and I was looking on eBay and I was like, okay. And saw this and was like, okay, I wasn't gonna spend any money, and I'm like, I gotta make it happen somehow. So this is one of those. I always kind of joke with my littlest one. She's now 5, but in the nursery, I was trying to get comics in her life. I have 3 daughters, 2 of them are older. I tried to force comics on them, and it never worked, never stuck. And so I was like, this time I'm gonna throw this little baby. I got the Spider-Woman cover, pregnant. I had a couple nursery covers from there, just trying to get comics in front of her. And my wife said no to this one because of the blood. But the number 1 cover has Hope in the little ergo carrier, whatever that is. So I had that one in there. And so this cover just for me, I loved Olivetti's work. It was just amazing. And when I saw it, I was like, I got to figure this out. So very happy to have it. This guy actually, if those of you out here are watching, I don't know how to frame this because Ariel said that he does use a varnish over, and I think it's acrylic and oil. And so he said he puts a varnish over it, light varnish, so it can be used with glass. And I talked to Tatiana a little bit. So if you have any suggestions, I don't know if I need to frame it open. Can I mat it? I'm still waiting to frame this piece. So maybe I need to ask a professional, but if you have any idea, yeah, I love the Hope looks like I'm not very smart, but I want to say like a Renaissance painting, you know, like those old paintings, you know, just has that feel to it. Yeah. And then he looks, you know, just the tired, I love the tired father figure, you know, caring for a child, you know, it just moves me. So I just love that stuff. So I had to have this one. It's my favorite of the Cable covers. So
that's a beauty.
And he's great. Yeah. Olivetti's great.
And framing, I don't know. I would probably frame it without glass. Would be
without glass.
It's properly varnished and everything, and sealed properly. Yeah, that would be the way I would probably do it. But it could be. I mean, you could put it under glass as well. I mean, it's really kind of a personal choice. But yeah, that would be the way I would frame it.
What about matting it? No.
I think a few of the pieces that I've got. I'd say no, honestly. I think an edge on a piece like that. It does have that interest. It's the way that art was. I mean, I can pull it back up on the screen for a second. You can see it's not. You're right. In a weird way, maybe you might want to mat that because of how it's painted on the edge. Yeah. So
and it's on a just regular. I think a just regular comic board. I'm not sure it's flimsy. So, it feels like it needs to be pinned down a little bit.
Right. Okay.
Fred says no, but yeah.
Fred says no mat.
He's no mat.
He says no mat. All right.
Is that because oils need to breathe because they get moldy? Is that why?
Oils are very tricky because it depends on like the drying agents that they mix in with the oils when they're painting. So it's really hard to say if you'd have any problems like that. I wouldn't think so. I mean, it's painted on paper. I mean, maybe just of it as well. It's hard. Again, you can't really tell. But yeah, I would think that it's probably dry. I wish Ruben should be chiming in on this kind of stuff because he's got a lot of painted pieces that he's probably got a lot more experience than I do. But I guess he must not be in the chat right now, or he'd be giving me his 2 cents. So sorry, just reading through all these. Dave Kopecki, he says he's got most of the paintings are double matted with museum glass. No glass means dust and debris, off the surface, and that's very true as well. Because a lot of times when an artist will varnish their stuff, it really does seal it pretty well, and you can dust it. But Dave's got a point there. Yes, and okay, so Ruben's holding it all back because he would dominate the chat if you wanted to talking about it. But Ruben would be a good person to give you some advice on that. All right,
Ruben, hit me up on that. Yeah, I need some help. I know Tatiana gave me some good instructions too. So.
Yep. So there's pros and cons each way.
Okay.
Jason says send Ruben the StreamYard link. You guys just
Ruben will do the little comments, respond to the comments.
That's right. See, yeah, you saw that episode.
Oh yeah, I watch them all, Bill. Watch them all.
All right, on to the next artwork.
All right, so this is a Jordan piece. Jordan Janot. I'm probably saying that wrong. You had him on the Dueling Dealers. I got this from him a while ago. It was locked in his vault. And those of you who know Jordan will know what that means. It was one of his birth pages that he was never going to sell. And so I kept kind of reaching out to him. Like I said, I'm a big Stephanie Brown fan. This is from Detective 647. It's her first panel appearance, her birth page, according to Jordan, which is a great way to say that. It's where the character does come to life, and this is the first time you see her. So the page itself, it's a pretty basic page, but the bottom panels for me is what does it. And I remember just persistently asking him, and he's like, no. And this is another cool thing because I wore him down, and it was at the I talked about the wedding piece with Sia, that one I got at my daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
Well, this one. I was walking on the way to see my daughter who was having her baby. So my granddaughter. And so I was in the hospital walking to go see her. And I get this email from Jordan. Hey, what do you think? Are you still interested? I think I might let it go. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, we'll figure it out, And so he was real great, worked with me, and he knows that I love that character. And so I'm very thankful for that piece. And Tom Lyle did the pencils on that. And the cover for this, it's by Matt Wagner. I'd love to have that cover, but I think it's probably out of my price range now. But it's a great piece. I'm thankful to have this. At some point, I'd like to get the first time she's in her spoiler costume. Mm-hmm. I have one of her from the first 3 issues. And I heard an interview from Dixon about her, about Spoiler, Stephanie Brown. She was just a throwaway character, just to make fun of Cluemaster, her dad, who was like a knockoff Riddler, Mm-hmm. And so basically his daughter kind of, was spoiling all of his gimmicks, So, so she was going to go away. And then the fans said, hey, when's she coming back? And sure enough, she came back in Robin issue 3 and then cover on 4. So. And the rest is history. So I'm just happy. I was thankful to Jordan. He just hooked me up. So he knew I would, like he said, he knew I would take care of it. And I love it. So thank you, Jordan. Officially. Yeah. Again.
He knew you'd be a great caretaker for this birth page.
Mm-hmm. He has some great pages out there. So he has a great collection.
I agree. I've checked out Jordan's collection on CAF many times.
Yeah. I'm always interested to see what goes into the vault. It's like, this is never, so, but you never know. So he took care of me.
Very good. Now, this next one, I'm assuming was more for your daughters than for you, but
I think I know what it is. Yes. Okay. Yes. So this is trying to get her in, and she is obsessed with My Little Pony. And so I have now gone down the slippery slope. And I am kind of into ponies a little bit myself. Got to be careful for that. But yeah, so this is from Tony Fleece, and he's currently doing Stray Dogs. It's it's got all the ponies on there, the main 6. Yes, I know the main 6. It's got some other pets. It's the Scholastic cover, so it's not very common for the movie. I think it's the prequel. It's hard to find a copy in the wild because it was a book. I think it was a book fair trade. Mm-hmm. But it just had all the ponies. And the funny thing is, so Tony draws a lot of, he digitally lays it out and then he inks over it. And for some reason, he likes to do the pupils. Yeah, I saw that, Fred. Yeah. He does the pupils separately. And I remember asking him, usually I don't, obviously I don't want them to add any art to the art, but they didn't have any pupils and they didn't look, they just looked almost like, they just didn't look like, they didn't have any personality. So I said, hey, would you be willing to add pupils to all the characters? And then also I noticed, okay, don't judge me on this. Okay. I noticed that Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash don't have their cutie marks. Yes, I know these terms. And lost all my man cards, sent him the email, and sure enough, he added the pupils, and then he put the cutie marks on the top 2 ponies. So I got Fluttershy in all her glory, Rainbow Dash, and I'm kind of into it. I'm a little nervous because I've been reading the comic for her. I get it for her monthly. She always asks me if it came in. And right now it looks like Pinkie Pie and Cheese Sandwich are kind of dating a little bit. So that's exciting. So, yep, I know too much.
Way too much.
Way too much. Yes. So, and I want to get something by Andy Price too at some point. I know. I think Paul, is it? Someone, I think it's I think Paul has some good pieces, but anyways, I want to get an Andy Price piece, but yeah, then I'm done. I swear, I promise.
And then you're done.
Yeah.
Well, I have to admit that I actually have framed My Little Pony artwork in the other room. So, but that's from having 2 daughters as well. I showed off some Powerpuff Girls artwork that I had, a couple covers to that. So yeah, you kind of have to learn a little bit to keep the kids happy.
It's dangerous. Yeah, it's dangerous. They're well done. I'll tell you that. Their character development's pretty good. So, yeah, I'm into it. Yeah, I gotta be careful. Let's just say that. Gotta be careful. I won't cosplay. I don't cosplay ever. I'll never do that. So I'll never brony up. But
right,
I could talk about it now with these guys. So.
That's Fred Chamberlain asked me where my pony there is no pony costume. There will never be a pony costume.
Never.
I say that now, and who knows what'll happen. But and Jason says he hears that a lot from people that they're secret My Little Pony collectors out there. They are. I mean, the art's good, and and the stories are good. I have to admit, I've watched way too many of those, and always have a good time with them.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. They do a good job.
All right.
This is I got through Tatiana as well. I think she was consigning it for a friend of hers. I love David Finch. I don't have a cover except for this one. I don't have a cover by him. I would love to have a cover by him, but his stuff started out. His current stuff is like, it was like $8,000. Now it's like 10. And I think his current Spidey covers are like, I heard 15,000. So for me, I kind of had to go old, and I saw she posted it, and I said instantly, I was like, well, it looks like an old Finch. Obviously, the signature is weird, different than it normally is. And Rick Plow, of course, is old. So there's some, I said, yeah, I gotta have it. I'll take it. And then I started doing some research on it, and it checked off a few boxes. So it had it's a Wizard half, which as a '90s collector, those Wizard magazines were cool. The halves were cool. So I kind of checks off. I've always wanted a Wizard half cover, so I got that. And then it turns out I think this is his first published cover. That's what Tatiana just said. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm almost positive. So I don't think there's one that's before this, and you could tell it doesn't look like Finch completely. And it has I don't know if it's intentional, but it has that Superman kind of pose to it. Yeah. So Tatiana said it was for a top Cal executive. So it was cool. Getting it from him. So it kind of connects even some weird connections of this, the fact that buying a piece from a top Cal executive is kind of cool. So being a top Cal lover in the 90s. Yeah, I just love it. I'd love to get a Finch cover one of these days. I have a few pages by from the Forever Evil story where Nightwing is being killed or where he dies. So I got 5 pages from that, but I don't have any covers. I'd love to get a cover one day. And I got to meet him. That was the picture on my profile that you put up. Yeah. Bill, was me. I got to meet him for the first time. So he commissioned me a Moon Knight. Not Moon Knight. He commissioned me a spoiler who happens to look like Moon Knight, obviously, because she has, the hood and everything like that. And it was funny because, it looks like a Moon Knight with boobs, and I was like, oh, she looks like Moon Knight. And he's like, no. It's like, no, I love it. I love your Moon Knight. And it really, the spoiler is she's got a very Moonlight Knight look to her, except, it's female. So, yeah, I love it. Some people tease me about it, but to me, I love that piece. And it was just nice to get to meet him, and have him do a commission for me. I don't do a lot of commissions, and certain guys and even some gals I'll definitely get a commission from. So
that's a beauty. And now, let's see, where was that? Oh, Tim said, "I say thee nay." Now I almost feel like it needs to be a meme. I have to dress like a little pony and say, "I say thee nay."
Is it? Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. Okay, so
you should. I think you should. I won't. But you should. Yeah,
I don't know. Well, it's all about self-deprecation on that show, so I can do it. I can do it. All right. Next up, here we go.
Yeah. So this was no kid motivation on this one. This is pure young Johnny's love for Aladdin and those Disney movies as a kid. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I always joke. I don't know if you talk about this. Which Disney princess would you marry? Do you ever do that, Bill?
No.
We're going down a slippery slope here.
Yeah, no, I have never done that.
Well, I will do it for you. So this is how it works out for me, Bill. Okay. So Jasmine is the one that I date, but I marry Belle.
All right.
This is Princess Jasmine in all her glory. This is the VHS cover. So to me that's really cool because VHS is awesome when you're an older guy like us or like me. I love VHS, and it was the cover pencil to the Return of Jafar VHS. So I don't know if I'm assuming there had to have been a painting done from this for the art on the VHS jacket, but this is the pencil piece for that. So got this from Anthony. It's pretty big. I did get it framed because it was so big, and it's on more of a paper, not like a thin paper, but just it's more of a paper than a board.
Right.
But it's got Aladdin, the Abu, Jafar. You know, it's got all the characters. You know, of course, Jasmine looks stunning as always. So, yeah, the genie. So I was happy. You know, for me, it definitely is a nostalgic piece for me. So I'm very happy with that piece. So who you can't pick a princess, huh?
No, I don't. I do not. There's not one that I would date or one that I would marry.
How about in the chat? Any princes or princesses?
You scared everybody in the chat. Everybody went silent. They were processing what
they all have one. They do. They do. They just won't admit it, but they have one.
There you go. All right. Let's see. Here we go.
Yeah, this is Jose Delbo, Alfredo Okada. I didn't know much about the Filipino masters when I bought this piece. So now I'm like, oh wow, I'm very excited that I have an Alcala piece, you know. Mm-hmm. This was from World's Finest. I remember seeing it at Jose's Delbo's booth a couple years ago, and I was like, I love it. I'm not a huge Superman guy. You know, I have some Superman pieces, but I just love the emotion. You know, I love the atomic bomb. You know, I don't love the atomic bomb, but I love the picture of it and just the significance in this page. But I didn't buy it. I kind of passed on it, and I would take pictures sometimes of art that I was wrestling through at a con, you know, so sleep on it, come back and kind of look through the pictures obsessively. So I looked through this for like, you know, for a year, the next upcoming year. Went back to Denver Comic-Con and ran right to Jose Delbo's booth and just started looking. And sure enough, it was still there. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. So the story behind this is actually really cool. I guess there was a villain. Batman and Superman are together. There's a villain who sends all these missiles out into time stream. And Superman goes in to chase him down so that the villain could be alone with Batman. And so he gets to this scene where the Enola Gay was going, I guess, in Japan. And then he had a chance to stop it, and he didn't stop it because he didn't want to disrupt the timeline. And so that's him allowing it to happen, and then tear-filled, you know, very emotive. I love emotive pieces. I love, you know, the action pages are great. Battle pieces are great. But I love, you can see get a guy or a character crying, showing emotion. That always gets me. So it's impressive. So love it. Yeah. I'm thankful to have a piece by Jose and then also by Alcala.
No, it's a very touching piece. And you know what? I before I forget, I wanted to mention this when we started. I wanted to thank you for being a mod on Comic Art Fans.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really appreciate it. I know I'm not as responsive as, you know, the last pretty much since Dueling Dealers started. It's hard for me to reply, but I see all the comments in the thread, and I act on most of them. Some of the tougher problems I haven't tackled yet. You know, like certain people saying they need to lock down everything, but I follow everything that goes on in there, all the posts, and usually I'm, you know, asking people to either lock up or remove things within hours of you guys posting it. So I've been meaning to get an email in there just to let you guys know that I am there and I am listening. I'm having a hard time keeping up with doing emails as it is. So
yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I don't mind. I know, like a lot of times when it comes to doing what you do so much, and then to have to do more, it's easy for me. I'm already looking literally 3-4 times a day. I'm going to new items and looking through.
Right.
And so, and a lot of times, even the guys who post stuff, I don't. You know, sometimes you just don't think to click not work safe, you know, right. You don't always think that. So sometimes it's just, you just catch it and, you know,
yeah,
you know, I know, you know, as you're looking through your stuff, whether, you know, you're in front of your daughter, you're like, oh, you know, you got to hide that kind of stuff. And it's just nice not to worry about that. But but some of those pieces are beautiful, you know, they just need to be behind something. So,
yeah. Oh no, I agree. And so, I've been meaning to get an email out to everybody on, you know, just to our group list, just to let them know that I am still here and I am still acting on everything they're doing. I'll do that tomorrow just to make.
And it's your prerogative too. So that's for me. I just flag it, you know, that you can look at it and then see what you think. And I trust you. If you take care of it, you do. If you don't, you don't. I never go back and look at stuff I flag. So
no,
you're good.
There's I think I've probably acted on every one that you've done. Some of the guys are a little bit more strict, you know. I mean, if it's mildly risque, I'll get an email about it, and I'll be like, God, come on, that's not even close. That, you know, where we need to be worried about it. But anyway.
I think you taught us well, like kind of what we're looking for. So.
Yep. No, thank you very much. And thank you to all the mods that are out there that are helping us keep CAF a clean and safe place for everyone to view.
For the kids. The kids can look over our shoulder. Exactly.
All right. So we got 2 more artworks to look at. Let's see. Let's pull this next one up.
Yeah. So this is, I've been wanting a Churchill Supergirl for a while. And I got this from Anthony. And I think he had it on his site for a while, because I saw he had a new piece come up, and it was Supergirl by Churchill, but it wasn't. I didn't love it, but I was like, oh, there's a Churchill piece, because you can't find them on eBay. They're hard to find on eBay. They just seem to be hard to find. And so I remember looking at that piece, and then I clicked on Churchill's link, and then this piece popped up, and I was like, oh yeah. You know, I love Norm Ratman, but he inked most of this book. And for some reason, he didn't ink all the pages. And so this is, it's uninked, you know, just the pencils. It looks a little light, you know, in person. Yeah. But to me, you know, this is during the Mike Turner Batman Superman, when Kara Zor-El, his and Superman 8, Batman Superman 8. So they did that story, I think, through 13, and then they started Supergirl 0. And this is issue 5. It's the last page. And it was the last page that Ian Churchill worked on for a while. He took a break and then he came back. But to me, this is kind of like Mike Turner's Supergirl, you know, but it's not. It's Churchill. And I don't know if you remember, I had an image of the cover. They, on Supergirl number 5, they did variant covers. And if you look at them, you'll see 2 Supergirls. And then you look at it again, the next cover, and you see 2 Supergirls, and it looks almost identical. And really, in one of them, Mike Turner drew one, Ian Churchill did the other. And then the flipped one, Ian Churchill did the other, and then Mike did the one, you know. And then they have a third cover, which shows just Mike's Supergirls that he did. So it was hard to tell, even for me. I couldn't even tell that Churchill was so much different. You know, he looked very similar to Mike. And he's that clean pencil, just really beautiful. And so I was like, yeah, I got to make this happen. So thank you to Anthony for this piece. I just got it probably within the last maybe 4 months. So very happy with it. Yeah.
I've always liked Ian's artwork. I've got a few pieces by him from when he did some of the X-Men work that he's done. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know Miki has a couple great pieces.
Yes, he does. He really does. Yeah.
Hey, that guy.
I know. Mickey's got one heck of a collection.
He does. All right. This I think is it just one page here?
Yes.
Okay. So I loved Marvel Zombies. I love the covers. Is it Soydum? Is that his name? How you say it?
Yes.
That did all the covers. So he did, you know, there's beautiful, all the cover swipes. I remember reading this and just being, you know, like actually scared, like, wow, this is actually creating a fearful response. Usually I don't have a lot of, you know, super emotional, when I read books, you know, but this one for some reason scared me. And so I was like, I always wanted a Kirkham piece, you know, and then this is Sean Phillips.
Yeah.
And they came on and I was watching. They don't come up very often either. And so, you know, I was kind of watching for a while. Got a deal on them. I got both pages. There's 3 in the Silver Surfer death scene. This is the middle page. He's escaping all the zombies. And the next page, Hulk, you see the bottom of that panel, which is my favorite panel on the page. He rips his head off, you know, and then they get the power of, is it Galactus or something? They get this like super.
Yeah, they get like the power cosmic or something like that.
Yeah, the cosmic. Yeah, they get this cosmic power, and then they're really unstoppable. But this is where right before they kill Silver Surfer, and then take his cosmic powers. And then the next page is where you see it. Where he bites his head off essentially. But after I got these pages, I went back and I read the story Marvel Zombies, and then I realized, oh, this isn't that scary. And it was the Ultimate Fantastic Four that was the scary ones. So now I'm on the hunt for some Greg Land pieces too. So Greg Land, Ultimate Fantastic Four. So I know there's some great guys out there who have some pieces. I keep bugging them, but yeah, so I want to get a good Ultimate Fantastic Four page by Greg Land. So good stuff. That's scary stuff. So
yeah. No. I always liked Marvel Zombies a lot, and I like Sean's work on it. He did a great job. I thought he was definitely suited to be the artist for that.
Yeah,
book.
and that's actually Ruben got me. Ruben he reps Mike Perkins.
Mm-hmm.
And I came across this kind of it had a zombie feel to it. It was the Dark Multiverse Crisis on Infinite Earths. And so basically it had like the Golden Age Green Lantern making a deal. It was almost like a very Silver Surfer Galactus type exchange. Basically I'll serve you, just spare everybody. And just the pages look so just had a very Sean Phillips feel to it. And I guess Mike Perkins does like everything, like he lays it out himself and all on one board. So this is very, very I appreciate that when guys they do all that work on one board. It's impressive to me. Obviously layouts I get, if you got to do ink over, it's fine to me. But to get it right the first time or the first couple times, pencil on board is pretty impressive. And I reward that with me wanting to buy that stuff. So,
well, you got an eye for it. That's great. Yeah, as far as being able to spot it. Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah,
very cool. Very cool. Let's see. I want to make sure I didn't miss any comments in there, but I think I got most of the ones from people that were posting. I think everybody's still stunned about your Disney princess comment.
We need to we'll have a conversation about a safe space. Fred will understand. You got to have a safe place to talk about it.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, they all have one. They just won't talk about it.
Most likely. And let's see, Ruben says, yes, Perkins, Geis, Phillips, Lark, Epting all come from the same illustrator approach. Yep, I would agree with that entirely. Yep.
Yeah, I want a Lark piece too. I'd love to have a Lark piece as well.
Yeah, no, Lark is amazing as well. I completely agree. His work on Daredevil, I always love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And see, there you go. Rich Danny says that if he was drunk enough, he'd probably go home with Cruella.
There you go. So that's okay. Thanks for stepping out. And, the internet is not a safe space. Oh no.
see, like the internet was a mistake. Is what I wore this evening.
This isn't going anywhere. I mean, no one's going to know, right?
No, not at all.
That's good.
No one's going to see this.
You said I was just in the green room, right?
That I stopped the broadcast at least 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, because these look like old comments too. So you're just kind of fake feeding it through. Okay.
Exactly.
But before I think you have one more piece, right?
I think that was the last one I had pulled. Okay. Did I miss one?
No, that's good. No, I was going to say, the cool thing about comic art is, I think I have a like, if you compare my collection to other people's collection, definitely there's guys that crush me, but would I ever trade my whole collection for someone else's whole collection? I'd have to think about it. If I could never get a piece back, because the beauty of comic art is we connect to a piece or a character, and to us, it is the greatest thing, so we can have moderate collections or, smaller collections or even grandiose collections. And we'll always cherish our, obviously I should trade certain collections, I should do it for the monetary value. I would make a lot of money, but my heart wouldn't want to trade them. If I can ever get that page back, then I don't want to do the deal, because I love that. I love those pages. So that's a cool thing about this stuff.
Like you did, Anthony, and you got the piece back. Yeah, Dino's asking, what's the piece right behind you?
Which one? The colored piece or in the frame or down low?
Well, you can just tell us what.
Oh yeah, so this guy behind me is Batgirl number 1, Stephanie Brown, Cassandra Cain. So her number 1 issue where she becomes Batgirl. She was introduced in, I think, 567 in No Man's Land, and then they spun her into this one. So this is her first book, her first ongoing. I think she ran, I want to say 83 issues. So she did that, so that's her. The last page, her just kind of taking off. This one, Sub-Zero, wherever that is, right there. That's just a local guy. He does. He's pretty good at some of that stuff. I have some pencil. He does some graphite stuff, which is crazy. So that's just a Sub-Zero painting by him. He's a local guy. And then that's a Nightwing by Ronan, something like that. So it's from the new Nightwing series. I think it was 59. And then Stephanie Brown is a Robin 59 cover. So I just try to put some stuff. I don't frame a lot of stuff, mainly because I want to buy more stuff, so I don't want to spend 100 to 200 on a frame. I'd rather spend that on art. And so I have some pieces framed, but for the most part, I try to, just try to buy more art first and then eventually start framing stuff. So
yeah.
Ronan Cliquette, something like that. So yeah, that's him.
I was right in the gallery to figure out who that was too. But so thank you, Ruben.
Yeah, he did great. That was a very emotive piece for me because he was breaking up with his current girlfriend because of Nightwing, putting her in danger, and she's crying at him, and he just, tears, and then he steps up and he jumps off the thing. He does the noble thing. I love that kind of stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, cool. Listen, Johnny, this has been great. You were very you were more talkative than I've had a guest for a while. I love it. This is and I love every piece that you showed tonight too. I mean, I really appreciate the Gist piece, especially because he doesn't get enough attention, and I love his work. And you've definitely got a wide range of artists that you collect, and an eye for art that. I'm always impressed when I talk with collectors. So many of us collect art just for the story, and they appreciate the art. But I always love it when, and most art collectors are like this, where they really look at the art in a very, they really are looking at the pencils and the line work and the ink and the thought that goes into laying out a page, and it makes me feel happy to know that as collectors, I think we really just dive into the art and want to understand it just as much as we like the storytelling in it. We like the process, and we like, and I'm always impressed by that, because I always think of a lot, as a comic collector, that's just not something that you're doing, but as art collectors, it really is what separates those, the hobby of collecting original art to collecting comics, is we really appreciate the artwork, as much as we appreciate the storytelling that the artist has or the writer that contributed to it. So whenever I hear people talk about just the way they analyze the artwork and why it sometimes influences their purchasing decisions. I mean, I'm just always impressed by that and thrilled to hear it every time.
Yeah. 'Cause we're looking through pages all the time, and all of a sudden something just hits you and you don't know why. You have to look at, why did it hit me? Yeah.
Yeah. No.
And those artists are so talented. So talented.
Yeah. Dino says, good luck with the nursery.
I'm trying to think of the nursery.
And I
don't know if I get that.
Well, let's see. Sorry, I'm just reading through. There's lots of pop chats here coming in. But again, thank you so much. We're almost at the 2-hour mark. So
sounds good. I made it, Bill. I made it.
You made it. You definitely made it. See, it's funny. I always tell people, you wait 2 hours is really easy to do when you're talking about stuff you like, So yes, awesome interview. Everybody is in agreement. And again, thank you to everybody for tuning in this evening. And I'm going to take the weekend off, and we'll be back at it next Tuesday with collector George Hage. And I actually don't have somebody lined up for Thursday yet. So if anybody's interested, then you would save me the time of going out and sending out a bunch of emails. If anybody would like to be on the show next Thursday for my next CAF update, you would be helping me out by sending me an email saying you were free that evening. So I'd be happy to tackle anybody that would like to be on the show. So Johnny, again, thank you so much, and thank you to everybody. Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. The first one I've gotten. I appreciate it.
It's early. Doesn't count, but
no, it still counts. It still counts. Thank you, Johnny. All right. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.